Okay, guys, welcome to the One Hit Podcast. Cathal here. I'm with Michael from Belgium as a guest, a good friend of mine. So thank you very much, Michael, for coming on.
Thank you of having me. Thank you very much.
Yes, so I met Michael over the years. It must be 6, 7, 8 years ago with Taekwondo, and we've traveled together in Europe and across Asia also with the Taekwondo. Michael, let all our listeners know your background. I did mention Taekwondo, but you're more than a man just of Taekwondo.
Yeah, actually, I have a life beyond Taekwondo and before Taekwondo. So let's start at the beginning. I am Michael. I'm a German living in Belgium. Now you will ask, what does a German do in Belgium? Actually, I'm there for work. I work for the European Commission, and there I work for the anti-fraud office because my background is that of a customs investigator. So more or less 35 years, I'm a customs investigator. That's my background. How did I come in Taekwondo? This is actually a very funny story, and I'm a footballer. So I just watched my favorite club playing football unsuccessfully, and I was always in football and coaching and playing and anyway, and it didn't really agree with whatever schedule a martial art club had in my past, so I could never join one, although I wanted all the time. So there was a kind of a feeling for martial arts always, but we didn't come together. So it was until 2010, no, 2010, my youngest son came home from a camp, a sports camp, self-defense camp, saying, "Father, I want to do Taekwondo."
Hmm.
Me knowing basically nothing of Taekwondo, not knowing that there are actually two big different ones, and then one is splintered into God knows how many different organizations. So I was completely innocent as to what's happening in Taekwondo. I Googled it and I found a club basically 500 meters away from us, um, 1 hour or 1.5 hour a week, and we joined it. And it happened to be ITF Taekwondo Club. That's how I came into Taekwondo. First, I brought my children to the Taekwondo and I watched the training. And that was all. And after a good month watching, I said, at the tender age of 46, I might actually start it. And that
Hmm.
brought me to that position. I'm almost 60 now. So, yeah, this was one of the big challenges in my last 14 years to do Taekwondo and do it not as a young boy or young man where you are in a better condition and your body is more responding to those things. So I was doing it, as a hobby, obviously, um, together with my kids, and that brought me a lot of pleasure and fun doing something
And
with your
a
sons.
46, like it's not common that adults at that age will say, let's do Taekwondo or let's do a martial art, especially Taekwondo, so explosive. Like, do you sort of like wish you had to start at 20 years ago or even 10 years ago? Or are you glad that this part of your life that you started?
35 years ago, 35 years
35.
ago, it would, or even 40 years ago, it would have been much better. And yeah, I regret that in a way, but I can't change that. It's water under the bridge. So I try to do the best out of it and keeping up with it, having that age. It's not always easy because I'm mostly coaching myself and not
Yes.
training enough myself. And then what my son called me, I am the back office, doing all the admin stuff.
Yeah, and the admin stuff, like you run the ITF group in Belgium, like that
Yeah,
takes
actually,
lots.
yeah. Yeah, that takes some extra work. Well, we founded the Belgian ITF in 2018, in February 2018, and we were just one club, our club. But to be connected to a world organization, we had to, so we
Yeah.
did it, and we got a MO. We are still an MO, and yeah, that was our journey in the ITF chair, if you want to say. Actually, I started not knowing what that means in ITF chair with my former Saboom, but because of health reasons, she stopped. And then we were taken over by somebody else. So I had a journey via the North Korean ITF brought me then into HQ ITF, and yeah, finally back in the family, if I may say so.
Full
So
circle.
I'm back to the family chair basically, and I'm very happy to be there.
Yeah, when the President Che is the president of ATF, some listeners might know that he's the founder of Taekwondo's son. So we're lucky that we have him as a president because that knowledge, and it's something that we can sort of tell our students that we're learning from the son of the founder of Taekwondo.
Yeah,
And like myself, you've met him a few times. Like there's something about him. There's a good aura. It's like he's like a rock star in the taekwondo world, if I put it that way. There's just you feel excited when you see him. I think it's because of the many years of him training as a student and training as a master and traveling the world. Like me and yourself doing now, we're traveling the world as umpires, competitors, coaches, but he's traveling the world, spreading the word of taekwondo. And how do you
that's
feel when
true.
you meet him? That you do you agree with that type thing, or
Mm, well, obviously, I agree everything what you said. I would like to add that he was breathing Taekwondo when he was a boy, even. So he was born in the 50s when the Taekwondo actually was created and manifested. And we all know that story within the army, General Che being ambassador in Malaysia and the creating the tools, etc. And this little boy at that time was always present. And I think one of this speciality about him, he always trained with all that icons of Taekwondo,
Mhm.
with the people who really created it and sculptured it, if you want. It is clear that the predecessor of Taekwondo is not only Taekwon and these kind of things, it's karate. And and out of the karate, the development into what is nowadays ITF Taekwondo, I think is quite an achievement for the technique, for the martial arts itself. I mean, you have interviewed a lot of people who are doing MMA and using Taekwondo style techniques. Let's say one very famous Irish competitor. So yeah, I think Taekwondo is quite a complete martial art and very exciting to see. But obviously, not a guy like me can produce all that kind of movements and tricks as I could when I was 25. But my son can, so
yeah, your
obviously,
son on your son on students like compete at the highest level, and you can see clearly that, like I can see over the years, that Belgium just growing and growing in the competitor sport, and that's down to yourself and all your instructors engaged coaching, which for me in Ireland, we're quite lucky having so many clubs and so many students, and we can grow faster that way at a younger belt. But it's good to see the likes of yourselves in Belgium, you are growing now, likes of Ireland, likes of Holland, likes of Germany, and it's hopefully creating a better European taekwondo, European format of competitors.
yeah. The thing is, if you don't have the choice to join an ITF club, you will probably end up in the WT world, which I consider completely different from what we do because they basically don't use the hands. So it's a Taido thing rather than a Taekwondo thing. Uh, so they got rid of half of the techniques, if you want, especially in combat and sparring. Um, I have a little bit of doubt that this is the real good example for Taekwondo, but it has taken over all over the world. Shows when people hear the word Taekwondo that they don't have the reflection that's ITF
Hmm.
because we are smaller in numbers than the WT. So yeah, it is difficult actually, and we are trying to spread the ITF as good as we can where we are and even beyond our place here. I live near Brussels, this capital of Belgium, and if you say also of Europe, because of the institutions for which I work and a lot of other people work. So a lot of my students are from that community, if you want. So commissioned kits, NATO kits, etc. And we're quite diverse. We have Germans, we have Belgians, I call them. We have people with Romanian background. We have people with God knows what background. We are quite universal, I say. We try to speak as many languages in our courses. It's also something unique. We are the only one where actually German is spoken. We speak Dutch, French, English, obviously, and sometimes even Spanish or whatever, which is
That's
necessary. That's to try to bring it down, because just showing is not enough. You need to explain. And imagine you would just show your students what they do and you wouldn't explain anything in your mother tongue. It would hardly make any progress. So you need
yes.
to speak, and it is very important.
And like you're on about like sort of different background, different nationalities and training and all. Like recently you were in Congo in Africa trying
Yeah.
trying to develop Taekwondo. Can you tell us a bit about that and how that came across? And I know you mentioned about the French speaking there. Maybe that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, exactly. That's very interesting. I mean, if you go back in history, and maybe a lot of people don't know that, we have a colonial history here in Belgium with Congo.
Right.
So what is known as the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is huge when you look at the scale, it's in Central Africa. It has the size of let's say from Finland down to Rome. This
Wow.
big. It's a lot of ethnics there, a lot of different tribes, etc. But what they have all in common, they were all part of the Belgian colony. And not enough that there was a Belgian Congo, there's also a French Congo, which is over the river, named Congo. And there is also another French-speaking Congo with the capital of Brazzaville, and the other Congo is the Kinshasa Congo, if you want. But how do I come to work with them? Well, obviously, they thought I'm Belgian. So they contacted me, seeing me displayed on the ITF website. They got my email, and I was out of the blue contacted by the president of a new founded ITF group down in Congo, who split away from the notorious WT people there for reasons, well, humans always have disagreements, let's put it like that, uh, and asked for my support. And we started to, start to write in emails. Further on, we had contacts on WhatsApp and also via Zoom, etc. And we helped them to get the membership in the ITFJ. So we organized that, and for the time being, my, let's say, achievement with them, or our achievement with them, is that they actually came to the World Games in Korea and marked, let's say, kind of a milestone, if you want, for African teams to be within that framework. There are not so many. I think we had another team from Ethiopia there,
Yeah.
but Africa is not so well represented in the ITFJ.
No.
And it is good to have them, because then we show the world that we actually on all continents, and not only in Europe and the US and so on. So yeah, I work with them. I speak French, obviously. That helps. And the Congo guy is also starting to learn English now, so hopefully in a few years they can communicate much better themselves. But yeah, as you know, French is a difficult language for English speakers and the other way around. So yeah, I can bridge that. I'm a kind of interface, and yeah, I do admin work with them. I help them. Being their consultant, if you want, their, yeah, good friend, uncle,
Okay.
as they call the
Uncle Michael.
Belgians. So Uncle Michael, basically. Yeah, and for those who don't know yet, we will have a masterclass with Master O'Brien from Ireland together. My son and myself, plus him, or him with us. We are going on 14th of February to the Congo again. and we will help them to get more technical expertise. Because as you might know, coming from also from WT background, sometimes it is difficult to learn tool
Yeah.
just from video. It's basically impossible.
Yes.
And there we need to work on, fighting. They know already. They fight very, very well. They had good successes even. Didn't catch a medal, but I think they stunned a few of the competitors while we were in Korea.
That's correct. And you mentioned like while we were in Korea, in September of last year for
Yeah,
the ATF World Games, which was sort of the first of its kind. It had WTF and ITF at the same time, but mostly it was an ATF event from countries in Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia, America, South America. And I was a competitor and you were an umpire. So it's like two different views of the tournament.
words.
So like, how did you find like it was for me to be in Korea? It was like sort of finally it was something I wanted to do forever, and it was sort of like at wow. But when I'm in the venue, you didn't know where you were because it's like every other venue in the world. The only time you knew was in Korea, you saw the signs in Korean or a lot more Korean people there. How did you find the World Games? Was it something that you wanted to do before, like go to Korea? Was it everything you expected to be?
Korean thing in Taekwondo at the fatherland of Taekwondo is a kind of which you have on your Taekwondo bucket list, I would call it. So it was always there. And being there was also a way of understanding a little bit better where all these names of the tools come from, what is behind it. And I even understand much better now why a person like Dosan is so important
Mhm.
for the Koreans. I'm quite a history guy, so whatever I could read about that history of which is described in the Taekwondo, I read already, and well, I personally managed because I had not much time being umpire plus team chief. If you, I visited also the Dosan Museum
Yes.
in Korea. I found this yeah touchy in a way to see what it's all about and how he suffered and for the Koreans. I mean, before they were split in two, like Germany was after the Second World War, but I, I understand much better now, and that's one of the big things I learned in Korea is the philosophy behind all naming. The names don't get lost. People it just reminded what they have done without too much bad blood, I would say. We have friends from Japan,
Yes.
which competed as well. They're very good, and I know some of them for almost my whole career as black belt. Um, and I was happy to see people back after 7 years. But when you look at the history between Korea and Japan, it's very bad.
Yes.
When you look at that, like we have a bad history with a lot of European countries as Germans, but over the years, all these things go away, or you can get over it by doing something together. Well, I have actually two projects. I'm in the European project as a EU official, but also when I see that Japanese come to practice a Korean martial art,
Yeah.
come to Korea, and there's no bad blood about it. Actually, oops, I think I'm too emotional and I kicked my video out.
Yeah, that's okay.
So here I am again. So yes, and one of the visions General Che had was to create a more peaceful world, or let's say to bring people together and over the thing and forget about the fact that we have different nationalities and we are in different blocks or God knows what. I have no enemies in the Taekwondo world, whether they are American, Russian, um, Japanese, or name it. You understand, and that's I like. And another thing is, on that occasions, like in Korea now, I met people again, which I don't really meet every day even ourselves, we met a lot of time in Spain when we went to the competition in Sieges. Then we met in Cork. Then we met at the Worlds in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
But it's always good to see these people again and to keep this bondage. And I think this is a lot that we create actually a community of friendship. And not only that, we cooperate together. We make things easier because we know each other. Yeah, I got good tips from you. I don't know how much tips I could give you
I think
so far, but we are working. We are preparing the European Championships this year in Wales. I got a good, kind of how you call it, team outfit supplier name. So we have contacted them, and we are waiting for the first samples to see
nice.
what we will have, and we will look like a proper team, in whatever national colors of Belgium. Yes, that's the thing. I like that. I like that community thing. I like the big events to go there. I like Korea in that sense a lot. For the reason I met a lot of friends again, which I normally don't see, namely from New Zealand and Australia and from Asia. What wasn't that fantastic or let's say outstanding was basically the spectator which visited the venue, as you say, this handball arena, Olympic, also great, but there was not a crowd which came to the event other than our people. So you had to be connected, being part of a team or support of a team. But I saw a lot of people outside practicing whatever sport, but nobody seemed to be interested into going to that event.
Yes.
That was a little bit strange. So I could have thought, Taekwondo in Korea is like football in
Yeah.
Germany, like
Yeah.
so the crowd would be completely nuts about it. But maybe it was earlier, but not now. So we were amongst us,
Yeah, I
as I would
understand
say.
what you mean. Like, 'cause it could near enough be like a selling point, maybe something that ATF looked forward and towards the future. Because I remember in Argentina in 2018, the venue was full, and it was full
Yeah,
of like, non-taekwondo people. And it was like a football chance. It was like a stadium it was the crazy experience I ever had. It was just so loud and people roaring
and
names.
noisy. I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
just no. So I thought as you, Korea, World Games, posters, maybe people in the street. Because on the street, like I walk around there a lot as you with yourself, and people will ask, "Oh, you're Irish? Yeah, yeah. Why are you here?" And I go Taekwondo, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're here for Taekwondo?" And they were shocked that like an Irish guy is in Korea to do Taekwondo.
Fortune. Yeah.
But this could be near enough pushed more. Like that venue could have been full of like even school kids, high school kids, college kids to watch these Congo, Belgium, Germany, Holland, South American countries competing in their country.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, maybe
something
it's just a
that's
point.
moving forward.
More publicity could have helped, or will help maybe for the future. Um, we'll see. Well, the next event is certainly in Wales
Yeah.
for us, and without telling us a secret, watch out for Belgium. So we are preparing, we're working hard. We come with a squad, which is more than 3 or 4 people. So first time we will also field teams, team sparring,
Nice.
team specials, team tool, and maybe even team breaking. So especially for the male, for the women, we're still a little bit lacking behind. But you see, that's what you also said. We are growing, so we have also more competitors, and I hope also that these competitors have the standard. And I think when I look at them during the trainings, a lot of them should be quarterfinal, semifinal, final material.
Yes.
So I hope they have a little bit of luck, which you need. Obviously, not to come against the best one in the first round
Yeah.
and leave the mat after 4 minutes, and that is. Um, but if we're a little bit lucky with the draw, on they have a good day, I think we have more in Belgium than we had before
Yeah, like it's as you
in
mentioned.
medals. I mean,
Yeah, you mentioned a bit of luck too. You could get the toughest guy in the first round, or you get the guy you can beat in the first round. But like, we're on with like the European Championships is on in July in Wales, and the World Games last year. The ITF like released a magazine recently and get more proactive in social media. What do you see the future of the ITF? Like our group, how do you think it will grow? Because it seems to be more proactive. A lot of master classes going on at the moment in South America, Europe. Germany's had one now soon. And then there's tournaments, your tournament in Belgium in June 1st, and there's a tournament in Holland, and Ireland had their nationals. Like the ATFs is in a healthy route, if that makes sense.
we as part of the ITF, we need to be more visible. I'm how you can increase visibility is obviously nowadays, which is the clear time of social media. I would call it the decades of social media. And the format you have now, we couldn't have done. And when I was young in the 70s, it wouldn't exist. It would be
Yes.
television. It would be a television chain and a big, the accessibility now is much easier. But of course, we are competing against so many programs and so many different things at the same time. So we need to be doing more in order to be visible. So what we all try is also together with ITF Sports to get that visibility by promoting our events and showing that we're doing. And yeah, we need creativity.
Yeah.
If we don't move, if we don't, there's no evolution in our behavior, well, we will be always a kind of creepy niche product in a way. Oh, do Taekwondo. People need to see it, and we also need to be, to show the grace of what we do in comparison. I would have a little more crude approach of the other Taekwondo. Um, I think also that our sparring is much more interesting
Yeah.
as what is done on the other side, um, which gives reasons to concern that they are kicked out of the Olympics because of their, very flawed kind of sparring and doing. Our sparring is, yeah, sometimes even too tough, I would say.
Yeah, like and
Yeah,
the standard in like the World Games was really, really high from every weight division, female, male, kids. Like that ITF is more they're using the explosiveness of the kicks with the boxing skills, and it's sort of changing the way the old style of ITF was the front leg side kick only going sideways. It's an all round freestyle stand up sport now. And of course,
yeah.
our group has now it's contact, full contact's allowed. Like there's knockouts, and I think that's grown the sport a bit more too, because it's allowing be more spontaneous. If that makes
Yes, yes. But there's always a but to the yes.
yes,
Um, yeah, well, we had an kind of an incident. My son was knocked out, but he was not knocked out because of a kick or a hit. He
yeah,
was knocked out because he fall on the ground.
yes,
And after studying and learning all about it, it's because his opponent went on his leg, catch away, and therefore he fell and knocked on the mats. But what is beyond it? It's not much underneath the mat, so it was quite
40,
hard for
40
him.
mil and then a hard floor.
Yeah, very hard floor. And yeah, for me, what is important, if we allow hard contact, the quality of the center referees is decisive.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have no problem if somebody makes a good jab or a cross or a hook or whatever, as long it is done within the rules. What I don't want to see is a round of haymakers without control. So
Sloppiness.
still the control is for me decisive. Yeah. And sometimes I had the impression that we let to go too much in a way, which makes it then more a brawl rather than a fight.
Yes.
But I think we are all learning. We should pay more attention to that, especially when we go live and people
Yeah.
see that. So we should pay more attention to it. Maybe also for the future, we should make helmets obligatory even for adults.
Yeah, because like the helmet, as you mentioned, your son falling on the ground. If there's a helmet, it might
It would
be,
have been less less brutal for him in
yeah,
a way.
brutal. Yeah.
So yeah. So he was knocked cold for some seconds. We were really concerned, and
Yeah.
now you can ask your question: why did he not have the helmet on? We had one, so but it's always better. It's easy to say it afterwards. Yeah, I hope this is a lesson, and he will go with helmets again. So yeah, but coming back to something you mentioned earlier is our tournament, and we have a tournament here in Belgium, and it's not only Belgium; it's actually close to Brussels, which is quite a nice city to visit in summer or late spring. So it's the 1st of June. It's a Saturday, and if you decide to come, you should better come on a Thursday night, Friday early, so that you can actually enjoy what can be seen. It's a quite touristic place. You can see a lot. It's vibrant in the evenings and it's warm. Today we have frost, but I can assure you in June it will normally be warm enough. And then of course you had a Sunday, so it's not only just for our good competition we have, but also to see something different if you haven't been to Belgium yet.
Yeah. That's one
So
one
everybody's
city or
invited.
one country I have not attended before, so it's something that it's on my list. Because I said a
Yeah,
few
it would
years
be
ago,
great.
Taekwondo, we friends everywhere. We have to visit them.
Yeah, that would be great. We hadn't had any Irish so far. I think, well, we had one colleague, one friend, Jana, who came, who's actually German, living in Ireland. She came over already, but not a complete squad or something. So we would be happy to mount the Irish flag to the countries.
Yes,
Uh,
brilliant.
that would be great. And there's another thing. The Congo national team will also be present.
Oh, cool.
So they're actually in the process of obtaining the famous Schengen visa.
Cool.
We have invited them, and the idea is that they arrive the week even before. They will come with us through the Royal Dutch, which is just a week before, and then they will train with us during the week. I have already booked the hall for a training session with them, and then obviously the culminant point should be participating in our competition then on the Saturday. So yes, we will have them. Yeah, and yeah, if I may say so, with not a negative touch, they bring color into it in a
Yeah, yeah,
positive sense.
of course, yeah, with the country. So, Michael, just coming to the end of the podcast, I've sort of two questions I want to ask you. What is your goals for 2024? Not the club, just like you personally. Doesn't have to be martial art taekwondo related. Could be anything you want.
Well, I said I'm very much a fan of history, and I'd like to start studying at university in October in Germany and do what I couldn't do when I was younger.
Hmm.
Basically, we're looking back at the year 84 when I left school. I was one of 1 million German kids leaving school, and whatever you studied, you would have to compete against those 1 million, meaning studying history wasn't not promising in that way that you would get a job other than taxi driver afterwards.
Yes.
So after serving 2 years in the German army, I decided, or even before, I do something as an official with the government, and I found by chance customs being attractive enough, and willingly taking me on, because you cannot imagine, for whatever pose you wanted to go, there were 50, 100,000 others at my in my level competing. So it was always tricky to get a job. And beside Taekwondo and football and my family and my, what I do, I love history, and I want really to start it at university level. That's my biggest dream I have.
Brilliant, because you did mention a few times about love of history with the Taekwondo, the history of Taekwondo, especially in Korea there, seeing Dosan and so on.
Yeah.
No, that's very interesting. And last but not least, our podcast is called the One Hit Podcast. I ask every single guest I have on, what was the best one hit you've ever seen? It could be a strike in football, it could be a strike in baseball, it could be a knockout in boxing, it could be taekwondo. What's the best one hit that you've ever seen on TV or live? Interesting, huh?
I don't know. Are you a Manchester United fan by any chance?
Yes.
All right. You might remember a Champions League game between Bayern Munich and Manchester United, and Robin made a fantastic kick with his left foot
On
from a
the
corner
in Old Trafford, was it?
in Old Trafford.
Yes, yes, I remember.
This was one of the ones I like most, especially after our history with Manu in '99,
Yes. Remember that kid, yeah. So that's your best one hit, Robin in Old Trafford.
Well, that's one I liked. There are a lot more. Yeah, well, in Taekwondo, actually, if I can show off a little bit, I managed to get my black belt in 2015 at the tender age of 50. And for reasons which I cannot explain now and which go beyond that podcast, I found myself on a world championship in Rimini at that time, in that famous arena where the last big ITF World Championship took place before General Che died. And I won my very first match. It was a quarterfinal against a Canadian bloke who could raise his leg beyond his head, and I
Hmm.
was quite frightened. Um, but I won that match, believe it or not, and I won it mostly on hits because I was actually punching him out of the ring 10
Brilliant.
times. And I cannot recall a certain hit on that, but this was my personal hit in a way.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I would say, yes, that was it. And I got a bronze medal then. And in veterans category, I'm heavyweight as you. So, and it was in that category. He had 130 kilos. I had 97 at that time.
Big
And the
difference.
semifinal, and in the semifinal, I had to fight a Viking Norwegian, 150 kgs,
Wow.
who knocked me almost cold with one strike when I was outside the mat. And for a brink of a second, I thought, if I keep on the ground, don't get up again, he will be disqualified. And I get in the final, but I couldn't compete. So, but that's not my way. So I
Yes.
got up again, had a, a very swollen eye the next days, but I got my bronze medal. I've lost the semifinal, however, but I could actually come home very proud with my bronze medal.
Yeah, bronze medal at
Yeah,
the World Championships, and
yeah,
especially someone who's new to the sport, to be something to be very
yeah,
proud of.
yeah, yeah.
And
Especially
how
at the
can our listeners, if anyone's listening from Belgium that wants to do Taekwondo, how can they find the nearest club? What should they contact?
well, the thing is, without making it solely our organization, if you're really in the sport, in the ITF sports, there are roughly 30 clubs in Belgium, which are dispersed to 4 ITF federations. Obviously, with my name, they will find ours very quickly. And then, depending on the regions where they live, because you cannot afford to travel miles for training every week. So we might find everybody who is interested a club in the neighborhood, and if not, yeah, well, we have to see. But there are quite some clubs dispersed via it's actually in Flanders and around Brussels, and also in Wallonia. So yeah, you might be able to guide some people to Taekwondo, to the real Taekwondo.
Great, great. Michael, thanks again for this Sunday chatting to us, and look forward to meeting you again in person.
I really enjoyed it, and I have to say, Cathal, because I know your podcast for quite some while, and I cannot compete with all your other interviews before, so I'm very let's say I'm very humbled to be one of those in the series and being number 16.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Appreciate your time and friendship. So thanks very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon.
See you soon.